Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. And if this is the very first time you've found my channel, yay, you're here finally. I was waiting for you. All right, so the movie I'm reviewing today is called Rage. The movie releases in North America and Australia on February 23rd on DVD and video on demand. And by the way, if you have never tried Amazon Prime, I have a coupon for you for a free 30-day trial. In my description below, you can just click on that link and check it out, where you can watch all kinds of movies for free. Yay, free. And then you can also pay to rent movies or purchase movies. So just wanted to let you know. So let me tell you about this movie. It is rated R. It's 2 hours and 23 minutes long. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is a C plus. And I will explain why. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell. I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, and I'll give you some tips for parents. The biggest tip is kids should not watch this movie, but I'll tell you more about that in a minute too. I'll talk about some themes that are worth talking about with your friends or whomever you see this movie with. And then I'll end it up with some recommendations for other movies that are sort of similar that you might enjoy or might even enjoy better. All right, so in a quick nutshell, this indie thriller from down under picked up several awards at Queen Palm Festival in January 2021, including the Gold Awards for Best Picture and Best Editor. In 2020, it also won Best Feature, Best Director, Best Editor, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Feature Film at several other film festivals around the world. Quite an impressive pedigree already. This Australian drama was directed by John Ballas, who also did Night Shift, which is a movie I haven't seen and I couldn't even find it on Amazon. The acquisitions manager at Gravitas Ventures, Nick Royak, described the film as a sizzling burn of a film exploring the depths of human anguish. All right, so with all of that praise, how could I give it a grade of a C plus, which is kind of just average, not that great? Well, let me tell you why. All right, let me point out the things I liked, and then I'll tell you the things that I didn't like. So, first of all, the opening scene really caught my attention, and I wondered what had happened previously to get these two people to this point. And you're not sure exactly what's happening, but you have a pretty strong impression that something bad is happening. So, what I love is that you eventually find out, but it's not the end of the story. It's often tricky to reveal the end of the story at the beginning because then you're like, all right, now it's just details filling in, the missing links, right? But there's more to the story than this supposed ending. And so I really liked that. The movie takes a look at various ways people heal from traumatic experiences, giving this emotional journey some realistic heft. You get to go to Australia. I always love to travel in movies, although I wish I would have seen more of Australia. I mean, you see buildings inside and houses and stuff like that. It's an ominous mystery as the characters try to figure out who the bad guys are. And this includes some fun twists as we follow the clues, as well as some red herrings that you think that must be the bad guy. And then maybe he's not. Maybe it's a bad girl. Maybe it's not. I don't want to give you any spoilers, but I like that. I like being led down wrong paths and then like, oh, that's not it. The cast includes Matt Theo, Haley Beveridge, Toddy Goldsmith, and Richard Norton, most of whom will be unfamiliar to American audiences. Americans adore the Australian accent, but sometimes it's just a little bit hard to understand exactly what's being said. Even still, it's fun to just listen to their Australian accents. There's a very powerful attack scene, and it seems very realistic. And because of that, it's completely shocking and terrifying to watch. And you hope that it's going to quickly end And it doesn't. It keeps going, and you're just like, ah. And the masks of these attackers are super creepy, and you can feel the evil. It's just heart-wrenching. The ending of the movie will definitely make you think and feel lots of emotions. Now, there were some things that I didn't like. First of all, the movie is called Rage. Ah, yet what we see from the characters is mostly silence and brooding, and you don't get that violent rage that I think that I was expecting. Maybe it's more of an internal rage, but it doesn't come out as much as you think it's going to based on the title of the movie. The movie portrays a very lackluster, loveless marriage. And again, with a title like Rage, I think I expected to see more passion. Simple kindness in marriage goes a long way, but this couple just argues about how to squeeze a toothpaste tube. Like, really? Get a second tube of toothpaste. Problem solved. There is even some infidelity in the movie, and it's also not as passionate as, again, that title makes me feel like I'm going to be seeing. It's just sort of a soft smolder and really just more about the act than a true burning passion and love. And speaking of that, I've never understood, why would you want to be with someone who's capable of having an affair with you? How could you ever trust that person? Why wouldn't they be capable of having an affair when you're with them? I mean, with somebody else. I just have never understood that, and I don't enjoy watching it either. The camera shows all of the blood and gore and splatters up close, and we just don't need to see all of that to understand what's happening. The movie poster shows blood splatter, so if you don't like that, don't watch this movie. Nicolas Cage already did a movie called Rage, so you'd think that they would have come up with another title for the movie. I think it's this title that really was getting me. Some of the acting is really stiff, and it feels like people are acting, and that always bothers me. And then some scenes just last way too long. The entire movie goes on way too long. For example, there's this scene where a detective slowly looks at the crime scene, and then he slowly explains what he thinks has happened. And I'm thinking, okay, we were there. We saw exactly what happened. That whole scene could be cut out. A lot of scenes could be shortened or completely cut out of the movie to get at a better length for the movie, because by the end, it just was dragging on and I was exhausted. Other than the brutal attack scene, the rest of the movie kind of moves at a snail's pace. The pacing really is the worst part of the movie. The title makes us believe that there will be action and scenes that are brisk and full of passion and emotion, but the majority of the movie just doesn't possess any of those things. There's super melodramatic music and so many scenes where people are just staring off into nothing. The dialogue is poorly written and kind of clunky. And the director also edited the movie, which is generally not recommended. The movie really needed another set of eyeballs, I think, to create that final cut. Just like I'm an author of 31 books, my little shameless plug there. But I use editors because I know what I want to say. And so when I read the book, it makes sense, but I need an editor to look with fresh eyes to help me correct mistakes or fix sentences or even move things around so that it flows better. And this movie needed the same kind of help and support. There's really no humor in the movie. This is pure drama. Now, let me give you some tips for parents. As I mentioned, I do not recommend that children watch this movie. There are a million F-bombs and other profanity. There's a portrayal of a rape. It's very brutal. You see 4 scenes with a topless woman, like right there in your face. You see an unmarried couple doing it, not in a loving way, but just like doing it. It's just the act and kind of gross. As I mentioned, there's infidelity and then bloody, violent deaths. Again, none of that is stuff you want your kids to see. And you may not want to see that either. So that's why I'm giving you the heads up on the content in this movie. Some themes that are worth talking about are rage and how do we portray that. It could be internal, it could be external. What is acceptable? What is not? Is it all? Infidelity, marriage, communication, justice, despair, grief, post traumatic stress syndrome. And we often associate PTSD with military, right? This is not a military PTSD situation. This is a true post traumatic stress syndrome. Other big themes are emotional healing, revenge, and home invasion. So I always write down funny lines. There were no funny lines, so I didn't write any down, but I did write down some interesting lines on my written movie review over at moviereviewmom.com. But I'll share one of them with you right now. This is spoken by a character whose name is Randy. He's played by Jasper Bagg, and he says, "You never know who you can trust." And he says that early enough in the movie where you're like, okay, we can't trust anybody. And it sets the tone for, okay, who are the bad guys? And so I liked that. All right, let me give you some recommendations before I go for two other movies that I thought were actually better made and conveyed similar types of feelings and emotions. The first movie is one called Mystic River, done many years ago, but done very, very well. And then the second one is called Wander Darkly. This one is very recent, as of last month, in fact, available on video on demand, and explores marriage, communication, that relationship, because this fragile marriage in the movie Rage is affected by so many elements. And I thought Wander Darkly explored that very complicated, complex relationship really well. All right, that is it for my movie review. I hope if you watch this movie, you enjoy it. And if you don't, hey, I gave you the heads up. All right, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and especially for supporting me over on Patreon. I really appreciate it. All right, I will catch you in the next movie review. Bye for now.